Okay, you're gonna have to forgive me for the poor video quality. I've been at the track the past 2 days. After I recorded when I got home, didn't have a chance. I'm going to record a second thing with the official finishing results of IndyCar, and I'll go through the sessions and everything, like I did for the open test. That's gonna be the new format. And that's actually gonna be a separate video tomorrow, because I don't feel like editing. Sorry. But I'm going to talk about the on-track action I've witnessed the past 2 days and why the Indy Grand Prix is a keystone event in the NTT IndyCar Series schedule. And a lot of people are saying, go back to the Harvest GP. No. IndyCar, May. That's all I want, all I care about. I don't care that now, we can't do the 2 weeks of qualifying. I think this should be the first weekend of May anyways. Not Mother's Day weekend. I do like it on Mother's Day weekend. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. But still. I think it's a fun way to kick off the month of May. And since 2014 when this started, this has been the event. Like, hearing about it, hearing the people that go to it, this is big, and you get a lot of those people that are going to go to the track because it's May, and they know that it's open. Some people don't know anything about what's going on. All they know is that it's May, there's cars on track, and I have time to go. Yesterday, during the Friday session, that was a $25 general admission ticket. That is a pretty good price. And I parked, and it was $25. $25 is still, like, it's not change, but $25 is a fairly good price for a full day of on-track action. I don't know what the ticket prices were today. I had my tickets comped, but if I had to guess, they'd be around $45, maybe $50 tops. I could look at my ticket from last year, which I will do, but still. The Indy Grand Prix is the perfect way to kick off May, and you get all of these younger series at the track. Do I wish they'd bring back the Freedom 100? Yes. It's one of my favorite races to go back and watch. Aside from the big 500s, I will go back, and I start in like 2008 when I do rewatches it. If I can find the replay. Sometimes I can find highlights of it. But I will go and rewatch those Freedom 100s. And just the raw racing that you get. Indy Next by Firestone is some great racing. Same with the NTT IndyCar Series. I'd say there are certain tracks where Indy Next is putting on a better show than IndyCar is right now. And on most days, aside from today, the IMS road course is one of those tracks. But why should IndyCar keep going there? Well, first, it's a beautiful facility, F1 grade, that isn't used. Second, it's another excuse to race at the track. And third, there is so much practice. I would love for there to be more practice, because I just love seeing them run on the oval. But there's something about getting to go to the track and knowing that there's racing and seeing a different environment. You get those more F1 fans that will come out because it's road course racing. And then you get them hooked on the IndyCar. It is a cool way to experience a track when it's not jam-packed. But also, I say that, but today was maybe the fullest I've seen the track for a non-carb day or Indy 500 day. I will full-on believe it was a bigger crowd than what IMSA had. I'm almost certain it was bigger than what the crowd was last year. The crowd did not seem anything like this, and the weather was fairly comparable, in my opinion. We know IndyCar's on the rise. Now is not the time to be removing a track from the home of the series. Removing a race. the way to solve this, the way to solve the month of May identity issue, you keep this. You keep this race, move it off of Mother's Day weekend, no matter how much I love it on this, keep it as a Saturday race, but have it the first weekend of May. You move the open test to that next weekend, and you just incorporate it in practice. Or if you want to keep the open test, make it a one-day event. Make it on Tuesday in April, the last Tuesday. Have them run it, and then they're already here. They get around the road course, and then it's oval practice starts. And then if you want to, now you can move it to where you have 2 weeks of qualifying. I think that'd also be more efficient for some costs. But also, you can up the amount of practices. And yes, Fox will have something to say about that. But anything that Fox doesn't want to take, have like the Indy Open test and have it streamed free on YouTube. Now, racing quality-wise, this is the best race on the Indy Road course for the NTT IndyCar Series that I've seen since 2021, when Arenas VK won. And honestly, the racing there, it was pretty good. Today might have been better. Obviously, me being a VK fan, and I've made that very clear, I am very biased to VK. If I want anyone to succeed, it's him. But the racing that day was still very good. It was very entertaining in my opinion, and every race for IndyCar is entertaining to me. Every race to me is entertaining. But today was something special. And yes, in person will make you feel different. But I was in person last year. I sat in turn 1 last year. I was there. I was witnessing the Ray Hall drama. I saw Devlin DeFrancesco's move. But today was better. And the racing quality is only getting better. Well, how's Pillow winning all these races? If you watch it, Pillow is not always the dominant car. He will have dominant runs. He will have races where he is just outright faster. And there is something suspicious where you'll watch his car at track, you can really see it, where he's just able to fly by people. And part of that is not skill. I'm not saying he's illegal, but they have clearly found a way to optimize his car to a whole nother level. But Kyle Kirkwood would have won this race if it wasn't for a mistake on pit lane. Which is downright ridiculous. Andretti, I know this for a fact because I've known some of their crew members. They have over a whole extra team in reserve. They have so many people that they bring in for warm-ups all the time. It would be so easy for them to make a team that doesn't make these mistakes week in and week out. And it's been the same for Herta for years. Now it's Kirkwood. And Ericsson just sort of has Ericsson issues going on every week. And there's nothing you can do about that. But there are ways to solve these issues and for people to stop complaining about Pillow dominance. It's not as much Pillow dominance. It is still there. Pillow would still win a lot of these races. But it's Ganassi perfection. Ganassi's unwillingness to let his crews fail. Your driver might fail. Your driver might make a mistake. Will Power might make a mistake. Scott Dixon might go out there and make a mistake. But gosh darn it, the number 9 PNC Bank crew will not make a mistake. I switched from using Will Power not only because he's not a Ganassi driver, but he is his crew does make mistakes. Okay, aside from IndyCar, Indy Next, great racing. We saw 2 first-time winners, I believe. At least first-time winners at the track. Enzo Fittipaldi, beautiful, beautiful race. Beautiful overtake. I'll actually get back to the finish of the IndyCar race and a couple of the drama points later on. But he did great. Time at cruise check. Don't think I said that right. But he had an outright amazing race. And honestly, it raised some concerns for this dominant Andretti Global crew. You go into this track where you have been so dominant and you aren't able to do anything at all. That to me raises concerns. Sort of like if Ganassi had shown up and they had everyone outside of the top 10, or if Rahal showed up and struggled on speed like that. That would concern me. For the USF Pros, that's some great racing. And that is some racing that I often find myself missing out on. All the USF series. To USF Juniors. It is some great racing that is free on YouTube. Not a lot of people catch themselves watching it. And it's something that I'm going to say, and I have been saying, it's a series that people miss out on. And that, yes, less people will watch it because it's a feeder series. But these are, I mean, it is the road to Indy. These are the drivers of tomorrow. Learn their names today. It was some outstanding racing, and some, honestly, that I need to remember to tune into. I plan on going to the Carb Day races out at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. That is always some amazing racing because it's full and oval and the USF series. That's really all I had to say about Friday, aside from the fact that, first, I understand why in Indy Next you red flag it for them to switch tires. There aren't really competitive pit stops in Indy Next unless you have to make a pit stop, because the fact that there aren't, like, it just doesn't make sense for them. I think it should make sense. I think you could very easily have your IndyCar crews do double duty. But whatever. Do no pit stops, that's fine. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I also kind of wish it would be left up to a strategy call if they stay on slicks or go to wet tires. I wish that they weren't forced to. I was sitting with the spotters, specifically the Ganassi spotters. I saw Bryce Aaron. He's the one I want to call out. For Friday's race, he had blistering speed. Not Bryce Aaron, Niles Coolin on Friday. And at number 10 Ganassi. Blistering speed. Once the rain started falling, he cut his way up through the field. Later in the race, he started to have some issues and he lost a position to Miles Rowe, and that's where he finished. But earlier on, he was doing outstanding work. And honestly, if he had qualified better, he would have won that race. Or at least at one point, I think he would have. Obviously, once the rain started falling down heavier, he really started to struggle. And I think he cooked his tires into a turn. But let's talk about IndyCar, because what happened right after that? Okay, well, this session has been declared a wet session. IndyCar crews may now switch their drivers over to wet tires. Okay? I was still sitting up by the spotters because I was like, these guys know what they're talking about. I could probably get some information, what's happening. Okay, now we're going to look for standing water on the track. IndyCar's wet tires. You're not the FIA. You can run in puddles. These are 25 professional drivers, some of the best, if not the best in the world. Let them drive over some puddles, man. And then, to cancel the session. And I have all respect for Doug Bulls to come out and say it. It is a safety risk. And yes, the rain was really coming down. But I do not believe that it was hard enough for them not to race. Or not to qualify. I believe the reason it was called is because the rain was only going to be picking up. And sorry. They may not have been able to continue the latter sessions of the day. That's fine. Move qualifying to this morning. I wasn't there. I didn't get there till the start of UFS Pro 2000 Race 2. 2. But still, it's fine. Indy Next today was a lot more calm than Indy Next yesterday, but still very entertaining. We had a lot of comers and goers and a lot of very fast cars. You saw the 15 blow a tire. I have an amazing picture of that from where I was sitting. If you want to see it, it'll be posted on my Instagram at that IndyCar paint scheme guy or Chuckles the Clown or ChucklesTC. I forget what my username is. But I know if you search up that IndyCar paint scheme guy or go with the link in my channel about section or in my description of the video, if I remember to put it there, you can find it and check it out, as well as all the paint schemes I do. Now let's move on to the race. Turn 1 of the NTT IndyCar Series Suncio Grand Prix. Felix Rosenquist, let's go before the green flag even starts. The human centipede on my boy Rinus VeeKay, destroying his front wing. And then, okay, we're not going to call a caution stop. Fine, front wing is still on. We go to turn 1, and we do a centipede again. And then we have Felix Rosenquist going around. He takes out, or he spins Pato, who collects Collette and Dixon, a lot of cars involved. And that sucks. And yeah, Rosenquist was late on the brakes, but whatever. That happened in turn 1. He gets penalized for that. Fine. But also, Newgarden hits Dixon and doesn't get penalized. That's questionable to me. Yes, it is an independent officiating board. They made that call not to penalize him, which means they must have seen something else that led to that contact there. And it may have also been an evasive maneuver of Rosenquist that they called it. I wasn't in the room. I didn't hear the call. That's fine. We go to the restart. You know, Rasmussen goes, drives through the grass for fun. And then what's this? On like lap 22, Rossi looks like he just won the Indy 500 in mirror mode, parking on the yard of bricks. Hybrid issue. Hybrid failure. Something that hasn't added to the racing here. Hasn't added to the racing most places. Other than, if I had to say, ovals. Ovals have gotten slightly better. Some of the shorter ovals with the option of the hybrid. But also it is hard for them to regenerate, and it isn't as easy to use and abuse like push to pass. Which I did see a lot more restart moves with the single file restart, which I noticed. So I was talking to the people who I was with. I was like, I wish that on road courses they would still do double file restarts, because it is very entertaining, especially here at the IMS. The double file restarts are some of the best restarts or best starts in the series. They're so chaotic and so fun and action packed, but you get that now with the push to pass on the restarts. I really do like that. And then what else do we have? Okay, like I said, Rossi parks on the pit lane for that hybrid failure, and then they throw a local yellow for the front straight. What are we doing, boys? We got a guy sitting here in his car on the racing line. Technically, that whole front stretch is the racing line. The car's going by him at 170, 180 miles an hour. To the point where he's pointing up at the flagger stand, waving his steering wheel, being like, hey, let me get out of here. And he calls it, he hops out on a green track. I would not be surprised to see him get penalized or talked to. But then you see him march over to his pit box. He's clearly infuriated. He has a couple of words for Ed. My guess, his talk with Ed was first about the hybrid system and then about the safety car. But it took him hopping out and walking across pit lane with cars pitting for them to throw the yellow. I just don't get it. It's a dumb move. It's a move that should never have happened. We have the guys make the call. Stop creating drama. Stop handing the race to people by letting them pit on what should be a yellow surface. And the caution arguably should have came out 2 laps earlier for debris on the racing line. They said it wasn't on the racing line. It was mid-turn, like mid-apex. That's on the racing line. I don't know why. I really wish I was in the room to hear why the caution wasn't thrown right away for Rossi, or thrown at all for that issue, which avoids all the Rossi drama. Okay, and then we get a restart. Okay, made it through turn 1. A couple people overshoot. That's fine. That's normal. Okay, let's make it back to the, I'll call that section the back S's. You know what I'm talking about, where pit entrance is. And oh, we have a car sliding, and oh, Rosenquist is airborne. Ramps off. We're lucky we didn't see a Toronto incident from a few years ago. It was very close. You saw Rosenquist get almost sideways, perpendicular to the ground. That's not what you want to see. Very happy he's okay, you know, being a new father and all. People I was with said something about Bo Jackson getting thrown out of the baseball game after his wife had their baby on the first pitch, and they said that's what Rosenquist was doing. I don't quite think that's what he was up to, but I think it is funny. It'd be a lot less funny if he wasn't okay. But, you know, more damage. Pillow drives through the grass. He's fine, of course. And then we get the final restart, and then we have pits going on. And what's this? It's a Lundgaard-David Malukas battle for the win. Lundgaard going for his first win in a couple of years. First for McLaren. Malukas going for his first win ever in the Will Power throwback car. Very exciting, very compelling storylines. Graham Rahal running a very quiet third. Obviously, I didn't see the broadcast, don't know what they were saying, but to me at the track, you know, that was quiet. Why are you behind the car? Okay. It was very compelling. You know, very good story. But why the delay on the cautions? But then we have this amazing pass by Lundgaard on Malukas. He gets past on it. He was just giving him the elbows. He was making his move whether Malukas liked it or not. And that's something that Lundgaard has been missing the past few years, and that's something that I love to see. Then with 3 laps to go, Mick Schumacher apparently has had enough Santino Ferrucci and sends him into next year. So yeah, or really sends him into the month of May, which ruined a great day for Ferrucci and ruined Schumacher's day. And Schumacher had cooked his brakes a couple turns before, and they just sort of spun him around. And then Ferrucci pulls back on the track into the cloud of smoke, and Will Power's able to go through there and not hit him. I was sitting there in turn 2 thinking, oh boy. But I see Will Power ramp up Ferrucci and land in the grass. Luckily, it didn't happen. We see Christian Lundgaard come through in that beautiful Velo car to take his second career win, followed by David Malukas and what's his name? Graham Rahal. And then I believe it was Joseph Newgarden in 4th. And in 5th, the surgeon, Alex Palou. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Come back tomorrow for a more in-depth breakdown and really look at the finishing order. Sorry for the rants, but like I said, I was at the track. I saw all this happen. I was very interested to see the calls made. Thank you all. Hope you have a good one. Goodbye.